Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday morning call. Every Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock Pacific. We are here because we are dedicated to your personal and your professional success. Mortgage Coach is driven by a couple core values. Wow. We just believe in great sales, great service. The way to be successful is wowing people, surpassing their expectations. The way we've always done it is through education and teaching people things they didn't know before at a level of excellence. So wow, education and excellence is what Mortgage Coach is all about. Today, the call is going to be focused on going from price to advice. And if you're on this call, you believe in this concept. Some of you are executing this with each and every client. Some of you are not. And we've got a great story here today. Josh Mettle. Josh, welcome to the call. I think this is the third time I've had you as a guest on today's call.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, you've got a great story, Josh. I think we've unpacked it a bit over the past few calls. Today, the goal is to really unpack it in a very teachable way. So if someone is a mortgage coach and you've created 20 or more total mortgage coach experiences, you're going to get some value from this call. And if you're on this call and you have it, you just use it every once in a while, and you go from price to advice when you think you need to, hopefully we're going to change your attitude on that, and we're going to get you to do it always. Every client, every time, you're going to get ideas and strategies. So hey, Josh, real quick, if you could just give everybody a minute, a little bit about what market you're in, a little bit about your mortgage practice.
Sure. So we're in Salt Lake City, Utah. We do lend in about 30 states now, and we have referral relationships in a lot of those states, but we're based out of Salt Lake City. I have a team currently of 13 originators, including myself. So I'm a branch manager as well as an originator, and going strong. Looking forward to 2015.
Right on. And when you think of your team, the Josh Mettle team, how many units are you guys closing a month on average?
We're right around 40. We push back and forth between 35 and 60 this year, back and forth. But I think we're going to end the year right around 40 per month.
Okay, so we're talking about a mortgage professional who knows how to do consistent, high volume. You've been the #1 producer in your company. Out of how many loan officers in your company?
There's a couple hundred of us.
So top loan officer out of a couple hundred, and just great industry leader. As you get to know Josh more, I mean, not only is he super successful, he's just got a great spirit on life, and always working hard to keep it in balance. At least that's the way it seems to me, Josh.
Well, I work hard at that, and balance is a tricky thing. You know, we were just talking about revisiting life plan for the end of 2014, so I'm gonna work on that more this week.
Right on. So let's get into it. I want to set the table around the sales strategies that Mortgage Coach was founded on. I mean, as we close the year out, my goal with everybody on the team is to review what we know we should be doing, and to get focused on the actions and the habits to just make 2015 awesome. So when you think of Mortgage Coach, I mean, the name of the company is Wow Tools. It was born from the concept that when I was a top loan officer and I had my breakthrough, that came when I really realized that if I could systematically, consistently surpass people's expectations at the point of sale, and then continue to do that throughout the experience they had with me, I'd be really successful. So that's our philosophy. And when you think about going from price to advice, there's really 3 key components of the wow selling process. There's, some people call it discovery. The challenger sales process calls this tailoring. I'm just born a very curious person. I mean, ask my family, we go on a vacation, and first thing I got to go do is explore. So I'm just born with, insatiable natural curiosity. But I find that the best salespeople, they have that same curiosity. They're asking questions, they're listening, they're actually learning, and they're emotionally connecting. So I've never interviewed a top loan officer that doesn't do this in a very, whether it's natural or whether it's intentional, at a very intense and quality way. Josh, you agree with that?
100%.
So when you think about going from price to advice, you can't just jump to advice. You've got to have curiosity. You've got to really go deep with people. And we all know that at the end of the day, every successful loan officer out there is a value creator. Here at Mortgage Coach, we believe in doing that through advice. So when I think of advice and the components, think of it as a sandbox. In the corners of advice, you have insights. Again, not information, but insights. It's got to be personalized. Again, our belief system is it's got to be visually excellent, and it's got to be shareable. In today's world of mobile, video, social, if your advice is not shareable, you're missing a huge opportunity. So when you really net out today's call, this is the belief that Josh and I share, and this is the belief that's got him to where he's a power user, a mortgage coach, is that the single biggest incremental opportunity to get more loans and more referrals from partners and prospects isn't your service or your loan programs, but the quality of the insight you deliver as part of your sales experience. Now that is a big statement right there. It's one of those things where you've got to say it like 4 times just to understand the value and the meaning of it. So Josh, we're going to get into it. Anything you want to add to that philosophy and that process before we really start unpacking how you've gone from price to advice in a teachable way?
Well, one thing that when you were talking about your point in your career where you went to focusing on exceeding expectations from the point of sale to closing, and when I think about that in my practice, what I'm trying to build is a different experience. So you and I were just talking about going and visiting the Four Seasons Hotel in Santa Barbara. And what I can tell you about that is when I can visualize what that lobby is going to feel like when I walk in. I've been there before. I know what it's going to smell like. I know how the lights are going to be trimmed. I know how the art is going to be. I know that they're going to have an open ambiance. And you're going to walk in and you're going to feel like you're at the Four Seasons. You're going to know for sure you're not at the Hampton. And that's one of the things that we really try and create as an experience in our mortgage team. And so when you were talking about exceeding expectations, you have to do it right from the onset. It's, from the way you answer the phone or have a secretary answer the phone, to the way you listen and probe and ask questions, to the way that you craft a solution, present the solution, and I know we'll get into this a little more, but then maybe challenge that client on what their preconceived notions are. So just the importance of, and the way that I've learned to do that, thanks to you, a major tool has been Edge, and you're getting a communication. If you enter into our environment as a client, the experience that you're going to have is as different from most as it is walking into the Four Seasons or walking into the Hampton Inn. So we're really clear on what we're trying to communicate and how we're trying to control the client experience. So I think you moved quickly over that point where your career exploded when you went to exceeding expectations from the point of sale to closing, but I couldn't agree with you more. You've got to control the smell, the feel, the client experience from the very, very start of the transaction and the way you present information.
Beautiful. So let's start unpacking this in a teachable way. One concept I want to hit from what you just said is, first of all, the Four Seasons is incredibly successful, but by the way, so is the Hampton Inn. And there are loan officers in markets, or just who you are and how you connect with people, whatever it is. My only message to everybody is be intentional about your strategy. Mortgage Coach is not just about delivering a high-end Four Seasons experience. It's about delivering your experience. You've got a personality. You've got a market. You've got a type of product that you do in your market. And it's about just bringing your personal authenticity, your personal brand, and bringing it to your customers in a way that's tangible, and it's advice. So let's kind of go through the process. Josh, how many months has it been now that you have been a Mortgage Coach user? Because it's not like it's years, it's months. How many months has it been?
I think I floundered unsuccessfully from February till June, and then in June or July, I really started to go 100% on creating TCAs.
So in Josh, again, he was a super successful producer, and anytime we create the Mortgage Coach habit with people like Josh, he's not in paid. He's doing incredible production. Yes, he sees that there's a better way to do things. That's how he created this habit. But let's just go through step by step in a teachable way Josh's journey. So this is the Mortgage Coach playbook to creating a mortgage coach habit. Starts with why, and I asked Josh, remember, I don't know if you remember this, Josh, write down your why. Why are you even going to spend time on the phone with me, spend time on the phone with our trainers, go through the pain of creating a new habit when you're super successful already. And while his mortgage coach why was a few more sentences than this, when you really net it out, he was just incredibly committed to changing the conversation from rate and feed to valued advice and really differentiating himself. Anything you want to kind of add to your why before we go through the step-by-step process?
Yeah, I would just say that for a long time I struggled with how to do that. The only tool that I had was a fee worksheet and good communication. So I was pretty successful at that. I could crank them out. I could do them quickly. I could then use good communication to kind of bridge the gap, because when you're doing 4 proposals for somebody and they're all on their iPhone and they're trying to look through the fee worksheet, it's utterly confusing. And so you have to be a good communicator, an exceptionally good communicator, to do a lot of business that way. And so I was okay at that. But when I figured out how to move from kind of fee-based, just like everybody else, to advice-based, it was like gas to the fire. It just really exploded our conversion rate. So for me, the biggest challenge was figuring out how to do it, and then as soon as I saw the results, it was addicting.
Good. Well, hopefully we're going to make it easier for everybody, and they can all make this go from doing it once in a while or not at all. You could be on this call, be a mortgage coach member. Either your company is paying for it or you're paying for it, and you're not even using it. So our goal is to get you there. So the next thing that we did with Josh was get really clear on the why, and then get really clear on what are the options that you do most often. So in Josh's case, it was purchase options, number 1, refi analysis, number 2, 30-year versus 15, number 3, 30-year versus, anyways, I'm not going to read out each number, but this was what Josh got really clear on, and I want to ask everybody on this call, because I want to get your perspective on what are you doing most often right now. By the way, Jacob, has it started broadcasting?
Yes, it is. It is broadcasting, and the poll is showing, Dave.
Okay, good. So I had some weird technical issue on my side, but let's keep moving. So if everybody could answer this poll real quick, I want to know, what options do you do most often in your mortgage practice? Because if you're going to create this habit, you've got to be clear on this. You can't be fuzzy. And I always just say the best way to use Mortgage Coach is best way to eat an elephant's one bite at a time. Best way to learn Mortgage Coach, one bite at a time. Figure out which options you're doing most often, create templates, master that, and then add another one. So by the way, Josh, any guesses on what the winner is going to be here? By the way, we're only at 60%, so let's get it to 70% of you voting, please. Josh, any guesses?
Well, I'm going to go with purchase options, because that was mine.
There you go. So there it is, everybody. It is purchase options. That is the report and the strategy that everybody is doing most right now. So if that's the case, after this call, make sure you know how to do purchase options report. Do it 5 times. Have a template around it, and get really focused. Because our goal is that you become excellent at this, and you can quickly and efficiently do it. So every borrower is getting one of these. That's part of the experience, because that's compliance. How you get a borrower to commit is varied. Most loan officers are delivering something like this, fee worksheet. Usually it's being delivered in an email. By the way, this is Josh's email prior to Mortgage Coach. So Josh, any comments about how you were delivering, let's just call it transactional details, before Mortgage Coach?
Yeah, I think that most clients are looking at things on an iPad or on an iPhone and some sort of a device. And so when you look at this and you look at all those words, it can be a bit overwhelming, and it's not interactive at all. So the other thing you can't see on there is that you'd have multiple attachments with multiple fee worksheets in the background, which just led to a not very, you have to connect with the person and really verbally go over that. And then you have to hope that they're a good communicator and they can communicate that to their spouse without messing it up. And of course, as we'll go into a little later, the beauty of the Edge presentation is spouse A doesn't have to explain to spouse B. Spouse A just has to have spouse B watch the video.
Right. So first of all, I would just like to note that this is a pretty darn professional email. I mean, over the years, I collect what were people doing before Mortgage Coach, and this is a high-end experience. I mean, it's, well formatted, not a lot of spelling errors. It's, it's not wow, it's not what we're going to do next, but, for all you managers that are on this call, this would be a dream if this is what your client, your loan officer was emailing to your borrower compared to what they're actually doing. What most loan officers do when they communicate mortgage options outside of Mortgage Coach, there's spelling errors, there's compliance issues. It's not just a wow, it's not good. So what Josh does now is he delivers a link, it delivers whatever experience that borrower wants. And so the concept is going from price, transactional details, to advice. You're delivering insight and education. And by the way, it's actually pretty darn simple. So this is what Josh's email looks like now. Josh, any comments before we kind of walk through the advice experience that you deliver?
Much easier to see on a handheld device because that fits within the fold of an iPhone. And I don't have 7 attachments that somebody has to download. They simply click on something, and this is something that I got off of a previous webinar that you did, Dave, but how many people get things that are truly customized to them technologically versus just a spewing of marketing? And so I really loved that piece where you showed us how to rename our URL link so that we could nail that right to the client.
Love that. And I'm going to show you guys part of this call is making it teachable so that what Josh took a few months to do, really our goal, what Josh and I did in preparing for this, is in a week. Literally what took Josh months to go from I have this why, I have this vision, now I've got to get this habit, which he has now. Everybody on this call, you could do it in a week, and we're going to show you exactly how to do it. So when your borrower clicks on that link, if they click on it from an iPhone, they get an iPhone experience. If they click on it from an iPad, they get an iPad experience, an Android experience. If they click on it from a desktop, whatever they click on it from, they get insight. It's personalized. It's visually excellent, and they're wowed. So now I do know, Josh, sometimes you add on a PS, or how often do you put a screenshot from RateWatch in your email, just so we kind of teach everybody what you're doing and how you're doing it?
It's habit now. So if it's in my templated email in Outlook, so it's always there unless something funky like I was on the road or something and trying to do it and I couldn't pull it up, but it's 100%.
Okay, so he's always putting in, again, he's delivering insight. He's always trying to let them know that, you know what, I'm an expert. I am smarter than every other loan officer you're going to talk to. I look smarter than every other loan officer. And when you get on the phone with me, I'm going to teach you something. So let's start, one of the things I hear from new mortgage coaches, and you had the same issue and challenge, is, how do I position the email so that when the borrower gets it, it's got context, it's valuable to them. How do you position this before you send it to a client?
Well, I call it a personalized total cost analysis, and so part of my scripting on that is after I've asked a series of questions, I'm going to say that I'm going to create a couple of different scenarios, a couple of different potential solutions, and we're going to compare and contrast those based on the time horizon that you plan on being in the property. And then we're going to revisit the assumption that the 30-year is the best choice, because it may be, but I want to see how that nets out over a period of time, and I want to make sure that you choose the loan that's got the lowest overall cost, including closing costs and interest over your time horizon. So when you get that link, take a minute to look through all the options, and then I want to schedule a time to circle back once you've had a chance to review it.
So by the way, Gary, I think that was less than 90 seconds. If you were a home buyer getting ready to buy a home, would you click on that link? When Josh sent that email, would you click on it? Of course you would. So 90 seconds, total value. So for any loan officer on the call, a mortgage coach on the call, you say, hey, people aren't clicking on my links. I forward it to them. Well, it's because you didn't position it well. that what you said in that 1 minute to 90 seconds, it was either too much. I hear loan officers where it's like 5 to 10 minutes of blah, and the borrower is just confused, or you didn't even mention what you're doing and you didn't even frame it. So just, again, listen back to this call. We'll turn this into a soundbite and a script, and you just got 90 seconds of awesomeness on how to deliver a Mortgage Coach report. Also, I'm going to put some links to some other scripts that we have at Mortgage Coach. So there'll be a link in the description of this video that will take you to a scripting document. But at the end of the day, now your borrower gets it. They click on the link from whatever mobile device or whatever device, computer, what have you, and they get a great experience. So again, remember we're providing you with scripts. Now I know you get a lot of business from referral partners, whether it's a realtor, whether it's a financial planner. Let's just, I put CC Realtor, but this could be CCing any partner. How often are you doing that? Are you CCing the partner that referred you the business?
Every time I know who the referral partner is, so whether it's a financial advisor, a CPA, they're always CC'd. If it's a realtor, then if I'm working with a realtor, then I CC him. If I don't know the realtor's contact information because the client came to me another way, then I may not. That'd be the only time I wouldn't. But what I've found with these is they go viral. They get passed on. They do create a, holy cow, that was totally different than the other proposals I received. And so they get forwarded like fee worksheets never have been, never will be. So that's a must. Got to CC referral partners on this stuff. They'll be wowed.
So what do you say to the borrower so that they actually appreciate that you CC'd the partner? I mean, that's not something that you just do randomly. What's the 30 to 60 second conversation sound like?
So with your permission, Dave, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to loop in your financial advisor because I want to make sure that the advice that I give and the direction that I'm advising aligns with your overall financial plan and where your advisor thinks you should be going. I'm going to spell out the cost differences between the different loans, and we're going to look at the total costs over the time horizon you're going to be in the home. But I want to make sure whatever decision that you make, you feel good about, and your advisor, would you make sure that you have an opportunity to review this with the advisor before we make a final decision?
Okay, so that's sweet, about a minute. And if it was a realtor, what would it sound like?
In most cases, that realtor would be one of my referral partners already. That would be the referrer. So in that case, I would just say, I've included your realtor, or I'm going to include your realtor on the email with your permission. The reason I want to do that is because we may be asking for some closing costs. The loan type also needs to be specified in the purchase agreement. So that's going to give the realtor the context and all the information they need. Is it okay if I put the realtor on the email? And in many cases, it's more subtle than that. I'm going to CC your realtor so they're right in the loop and they know exactly what loan program. I don't think that needs a ton of pitching personally, unless I don't feel like I've got a tight relationship with the client.
Right. Again, we're talking about 15 seconds, maybe 30 seconds of just pre-framing it so that what you did was valuable and what you did, had their permission. So the other thing that, new mortgage coaches have a challenge with, because they're going from, hey, I'm used to quoting fees and fee details and just providing these, and Mortgage Coach is more dynamic. There's a lot of different reports. So, up in the upper left-hand corner, you have information. So there's a lot more information, and learning how to tailor this so that when you explain it to a borrower, it's not too much information. It's just right. Because I think that you and I, Josh, we had this conversation a lot in the early stages of you building the habit, where you're just like, this is too much information. And it agreed. If you went through and you walked every client through every, field of Mortgage Coach, it would be too much. So let's try to, in a teachable way, spend a few minutes and walk people through a report in a way that would help them be more confident and more comfortable doing this themselves, Josh.
Sure. Where do you want me to start?
Well, why don't we just start with, right now I've got a what would be a desktop version of Mortgage Coach, and I've got an iPhone version, and I've got an iPad version. But why don't we just start with, how would you describe this to this client? And what, like, you may not even focus on quadrant 4. but just kind of in a teachable way, share with people, how would you explain this to a client? If they were on the phone and you were walking them through it, how would you describe it? How much time would you spend on the 4 quadrants?
Yeah, got it. So maybe just one step before we get to here is when I'm setting up a TCA, especially a purchase TCA, I keep it very, very basic. In other words, personally, I don't go in and I don't itemize out every fee. I don't break up a title closing fee with a title sub-escrow fee, with a title insurance fee, and an owner's policy fee. I just lump it all in because, and then I lump our lender fees together. I don't itemize it out, processing, underwriting, admin. And the reason I do that is they're going to get a disclosure package that itemizes all that stuff out. And what I've learned from clients is make it really simple. Just tell me how much the closing costs are. Tell me how much my cash to close is. Tell me what my payment's going to be. And then help me figure out what the lowest cost is over the time horizon is going to be. If I can accomplish those things in a way that's a wow experience, then it saves me a lot of time, and I think it makes it easier for the client. So again, when I'm setting up that TCA, I'm lumping those fees together instead of itemizing them, which I think makes it much quicker and it's easier for the client to understand. That's just a personal thing that I do. In terms of information, I'll always just open up the message, try and address them. If there's a referral partner involved that I know is going to be watching it, I might thank them for referring them and stressing I'm excited to help them work together with this phenomenal realtor and find their new home. I'll always mention that you can move the camera wherever you want around the screen so that it doesn't interfere with viewing the data behind. And I start in the upper left-hand quadrant. And I say if I can direct your attention to the upper left-hand quadrant, you're going to see 3 potential financing solutions. And then I'll just basically give an overview of those 3 solutions, real bullet point. I'm very infrequently going to go into any more detail than just let them know top left quadrant 1 is your summary with your 3 loan solutions. Top right-hand quadrant is going to be your payment comparison, obviously benchmarked off the highest payment, which is option number 1. And then I immediately will try and draw their attention down to the bottom quadrants. One more thing. I will mention in here, usually after I finish the top left-hand quadrant, to click into the More Information tab for further specificity regarding closing costs and payment breakdown, including taxes and insurance. But I really want to get away from that after I've framed the options as quickly as possible, because I know that we're not necessarily the low-price leader. That's not what I'm selling here. What I'm selling is A, an experience, and B, the costs or advice over a certain period of time. So oftentimes from there, I'm going to move as quickly as possible down to the lower 2 quadrants. And then what I'm going to say is something to the effect of, Dave, you told me that you thought you'd be in the house somewhere between 5 and 15 years. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to do an analysis for you on the total cost over that period of time to identify which is going to be the least costly loan. And then I'll just walk through total savings over one loan or another in the bottom left-hand quadrant over 60 months and the total amount paid over 15 years. And from there, it kind of just spells out which option is going to be the best, whether it's an ARM or 20-year or 30-year and those types of differences.
So everybody, I mean, and how long does it take you to create one of these, and how long does it take you to do a walkthrough with a client?
So I did a video for you guys before, which was it took me 5 minutes to create a TCA, including the video. Now I was rocking, but I created 3 different loan scenarios. It was a 30, a 15, and a 20, with my lumped closing costs, and I even priced out my title fees. Created the TCA, filmed the video, and I was 5 minutes and 35 seconds. Now, most loans probably have a little more hair on it, and maybe there was, pricing out MI or something like that I didn't do in that scenario. But I would say definitely under 10 minutes. And that's what I told you in the beginning, is I said, Dave, I just can't, I can't get this thing under 10 minutes. I can't do it. I can't get enough of them out the door. So I was able to get them under 10 minutes. And what I figured out was there was more value in the TCA or in the video than what I had expected, because I didn't anticipate the fringe benefits, which is you talk to spouse 1, and now they have a video to show to spouse 2. You send it to your client, you CC your realtor, and your realtor forwards it to their realtor. So there's all these kind of fringe benefits that you get that you don't necessarily expect to have until you're nailing these on a consistent basis.
Beautiful. So everybody on this call, these can be created, and that's manual in 5 minutes or less. I mean, now we have, not only do we have integrations with some of our top enterprise partners, but we have the Optimal Blue integration. So if there's any managers on the call and you want to, talk about how we can, integrate this to where these things can be created within a minute. And again, the video is simple and easy. So the other thing, it's important for everybody to recognize that these reports, they're not only being viewed on desktops, yes, you can print it out, but they're being viewed on mobile devices. So your referral partners are using mobile devices. Home buyers are using mobile devices, and now you're delivering your advice, your insight in a way that's modern, in a way that's relevant. So let's, not a transition, but I just want to make sure everybody really understands all the fundamentals of going from price to advice. So what do you say to the partners so that they understand the mortgage coach value, and when they're looped in and you're CC'd, they're like, this is awesome, because without a little bit of framing, they may not even care. So what are you saying to frame that?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me is it gives me an excuse to follow up, because I wasn't CCing referral partners before when I was sending out fee worksheets. Maybe after, I got a commitment and I was issuing a credit and income approval or something, and then I would send out a fee worksheet or something just to let the realtor know, hey, here's what we're looking at, here's what we need for closing costs, here's the type of loan. But I think the best thing about this is you can send out the video, and then you have a CC the realtor or the financial advisor, and you have a reason to call and say, hey, I just want to let you know I CC'd you on this. I want to make sure that you understand the advice. When you have a second, check it out and call me with any questions. And I have a certain number of touches that I want to have with financial advisors, CPAs, and realtors per week. And this just gives me an excuse, because I'm delivering something that's out of the ordinary. It gives me an excuse to call those folks and have a conversation. And then who knows where that conversation leads, right? How did Johnny's T-ball game go? What are you doing next week? It just cascades into more opportunities to create deeper relationships.
Right, and it just further differentiates you and makes your experience and how you sell an actual experience, not a transaction with fee worksheets, but a mobile experience. So I would just say to everybody on this call, the big aha here and the big value point is not to say, oh, look at my app and look at my technology. It's just look at how I'm delivering a mortgage experience to your clients. It's going to improve conversion rates, because more people that you refer with me are going to do business with me. And if they do business with me, deals close more effectively and you win more business. Realtors can all connect the dots on that. And then the other, and I think, Josh, you alluded to it, but I really want to make sure this is clear to everybody, is the viral. You call it kind of the extra benefits. So when a borrower is getting a loan, they have a loan officer, they have to. Let's face it, they all have friends or family members. If they're purchasing, they have a realtor, they have advisors, and they're surrounded with these friends, these family members, the genius father-in-law, the buddy at work who's bought 20 properties. And right now, you're leaving it to the borrower to socialize you, to explain what you're doing. And one, it's costing you headaches, it's costing you extra phone conversations, and it's costing you deals. When you deliver with Mortgage Coach, everybody's in the loop. You send a link to the borrower. Anybody that they're getting advice to or that's a stakeholder in the deal is in the loop. And by the way, to your point, Josh, it goes viral. Other people in your local market get it. And if you're doing a business and there's a company involved or the person's an employee, it's just a whole lot more impact. Anything you want to add to that viral impact, Josh?
I think you hit the viral impact well. The one thing that I may make mention again is that we're not necessarily the low price leaders. We're not going to compete against a Provident or something like that. Just my company, where our pricing is at, we're in there. But if that's the conversation that I'm having with realtors all the time, is they refer us because A, we can get the deal done, and B, we have good rates, then there's a chink in my armor if that's the way that they're positioning me. So when I steer from the top two to the bottom two quadrants, I try and give a takeaway. Dave, if you're really going to be in the home for 5 to 7 years, I really challenge you to look deeply at the savings as compared to the 7-year ARM and the 30-year fixed, because it's significant. We can talk more about that tomorrow when we connect. But then when I forward that out and then I call the realtor, I may make mention of that and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, when I talked to Dave, he said he'd be in the home this number of years. What I found out is we could save him $36,000. So now we're changing the conversation with the realtor to help them understand what the analysis, what the total cost analysis has revealed to us, where the total savings can be found within the different loan options. So that's, and clients love that, right? Like, you just figured out a way for my client to save 36 grand. You know, that's much more polarizing than is an 1/8 of a percent loan rate.
Right. Now, I've had a number of top loan officers who've created the mortgage coach habit, and whether they're attaching an audio file so they're walking people through it, or a video, you know, it takes 3 to 5 minutes to create, but I've had a lot of loan officers say it saves me time on the back end because I'm having to answer less questions 2 and 3 times. How much time or how many phone calls does Mortgage Coach save when you attach a video or an audio or just forward a Mortgage Coach report?
It's hard to quantify, but I know that I have had many instances where I've called to follow up with someone to try and get them scheduled for the follow-up call after receiving it, and the response back from the client is, I haven't been able to get my husband to sit down to watch it yet. I'll make sure that he watches it, and then as soon as he does, we'll schedule a time to get back with you, which is just the reality of life, right? So I know that it's behind the scenes saving me from that second and third conversation, and then many times it's, great, we're ready to move forward, here's our documents, instead of, well, we didn't really get it, so now can we, come in and visit again or something like that.
Beautiful. So, and part of the homework assignment I'm going to give everybody is to listen. I did a similar call to the one I'm doing right now with Josh, where we really unpacked his system in a very teachable way with Jeremy, and we walked out of that with a lot of scripts. And I've heard this over and over from mortgage coaches that are delivering mortgage coach advice, is that if it's probably not even taking me any more time on the front, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, but if I don't do it, it's costing me conversations and it's costing me deals. So my goal in this call today is to really motivate you to create this habit for each and every client. So Josh, when I put this list together to review what's a great video, you were one of the people who's, I ran it by you. I think 1 or 2 of these bullet points you actually helped add to it. But I interviewed, dozens of top-performing mortgage coach loan officers. When I say top-performing, people that are doing over $50 million a year in production, doing high volume, they have time to do this. This is what a great video looks like. And I even created a video with Coach Bill Hart. Again, it's going to be part of the homework assignment that I give you guys today to really teach you how to create a great mortgage coach video. Now, so Josh, you were part of creating this best practice checklist, and also you've watched the Bill Hart video. Is there anything that you want to kind of call out to folks to help them, one, have the motivation and the why to do it, and two, just tactically do it right? Anything you want to highlight around creating videos?
Yeah, if anybody hasn't listened to Jeremy's video that he did with you, it was fantastic, and I actually got a lot of the stuff that I do from Jeremy. I mean, I've just copied everything that I do, so. But Jeremy is a master at it, and he's been doing it longer than I. The one thing that I contributed, I think, to this list was, did I challenge and educate the client? And I may go farther there than do most, and I don't challenge them because I necessarily want to win, and I'll tell them that. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't make any more money with you going one way or the other. I just prefer that clients challenge their thinking and belief and really look at the total costs before they make a decision, because sometimes we make a decision because that's just what somebody said or that's just what we might feel comfortable with, and we haven't really thought it through. So, the bullet point on there that I call attention to is, did I challenge and educate the client? Barry Habib had a report that came out last month. I can't remember exactly when, and he mentioned that it was something like 87% of all loans right now, or some ridiculously high number, were all 30-year fixed. And then there was a report with mortgage turnover that he cited that most mortgage loans, the average mortgage loan is getting turned over in 7 years, which means that virtually all of our clients are overpaying for their mortgage. So if we know that, if that's a fact, and it's particularly a fact with my clientele, because where we get them in their career, there's a lot of upward mobility, and they're almost always moving within 5 to 7 years. So we like to really challenge their set of beliefs and give them a new set of data to really look at. And if you do that in a way where you're not trying to win, you're just trying to get them to think from a different perspective or see things from a different perspective, I think that really brings the client alongside of you in the journey or in the relationship. So that's one thing that I might mention to try and focus on.
Well, I mean, what you just described is how you wow people. You surpass their expectation. They didn't just get a rate quote from you and a transaction. They got an education. You were a coach to them. You were a leader to them. So I can't emphasize how important it is. Also, I want to just remind everybody that the concept of showing people the total cost of a loan over time, that's something that I built Mortgage Coach on, that philosophy that it's first of all, I think it's an educational responsibility. And I've evangelized that for over a decade now. And I also think it's good salesmanship. Well, the CFPB agrees, and the new GFE that's coming out next quarter, or not next quarter, but in Q2 of next year, it's requiring that you disclose the cost of a loan over 5 years. So cost of loan, cost of options over time, it's not just good selling, it's not just a great way to challenge and educate, it's a future requirement. So anybody and everybody on this call, if you're not doing that today, you're going to have to tomorrow, and it's a competitive advantage if you do it and you do it well. So again, just a reminder, we've got scripts. I'm really trying to make this call actionable. So if you watch this call, you're getting ideas, and you're able to do it. Took Josh months in a week, and I'm going to net that out in just a few minutes, just showcasing some of the scripting that we have and a document that I'm going to give everybody. So let's make sure we highlight, Josh, let's just try to fly through this in 5 minutes. But RateWatch, we've innovated RateWatch by putting it in a mobile app. Hopefully everybody on this call, you've downloaded that mobile app. It's part of Mortgage Coach. And our vision is always to make you be the smartest loan officer and look like you're the smartest loan officer. So when you think of how to use RateWatch to go from price to advice, it's learn, share, and leverage. So learning, we just believe mobile matters. Being able to pull this app out of your back pocket, and if you're just doing it to stay on the market. So click on the day watch. By the way, if you do have the app installed right now, pull it out, and click on day watch. And Josh, is this something that you use very often, just throughout the day to keep updated?
I'm always watching the trading of mortgage-backed securities all the time.
Good. So you're an expert. You know what's happening in the market, and with Mortgage Coach, RateWatch, you're getting those alerts, and you're getting them on your mobile device. So I even see a lot of loan officers that actually are using their iPad as their third or fourth screen with the RateWatch open. So there's the alert feature. Also want to remind everybody there's commentary. So every morning we have the Dan Rawich video. Every morning we have Neil Tierney breaking down some of the key updates for the day. And every week we have Bill Fisher, who's bringing in content. And then every now and then we get Todd Duncan, we get Bill Hart, Steve Harney, other leaders bringing ideas and strategies into what we're doing. So there's we want to make you better, so you're smarter. And then there's the sharing. And so, Josh, I know that you share it in different ways. I'm going to break down all the different ways we can share it. But how do you use it with borrowers and partners today, if at all?
Well, certainly the most frequent way that I use it is I attach it, as you saw my email signature on the bottom, is just a PS. So again, when I'm moving somebody through a sales cycle, the objective of every communication is to get them to the next step in the sales cycle. So, I want to get them on the phone so I can get their information and their needs and then sell them on a total cost analysis, which I'd say once I have your client questionnaire completed, I'm going to send you a total cost analysis, which is going to compare and contrast the options that we discussed. So again, I'm selling the TCA, and then I'm trying to move them forward to do an application. Once I have an application, I'm sending them the edge proposal, and then I'm trying to sell them on the next phone call, the next day to follow up, which then is the sales call to get their documents coming in. So the way that I've used this most frequently is I'll do a snippet of the rate watch. I put it as a PS on my email to the client and the realtor, and I'll just say, PS, when we talk tomorrow to review your total cost analysis, don't forget to remind me to have a quick discussion on where mortgage-backed securities and interest rates have traded over the last 30 years, the last 30 days. So just a real quick snippet, again, to just kind of draw them in, because the client's going to say, well, I don't know where rates have traded over the last 30 days. That's a piece of information I'd want to know.
Got it. And so how long is that conversation? Call it that I'm a market expert conversation. How long is that with the borrower?
30 seconds. So like I'm looking at Rate Watch right now. And if I was having that conversation with you, Dave, I would say, we just closed yesterday with a pretty rough day in mortgage-backed securities. Right now, we're right below a floor of resistance. If we close below this floor, we could have a drop that's fairly significant. If we close above this floor, that's a good indicator that we may see a slight improvement in rates. The most important thing is to make sure that I have all the information I need so that I can lock your loan. If we close below that floor of support, I want to be able to lock. If we close above it, I want to be able to float. I'll be managing that for you like it was my own loan.
So again, you're just delivering value. You are a leader to your clients. You've demonstrated your expertise, both how you communicated and then how you deliver that to the client, whether it's in an email. And for anybody who's on this call and you have not used this feature yet, one of my homework assignments is going to be that you click on, you pull up the app, you click on the share button, and you'll notice that you could email that, you could text it, you could post it on Facebook as some type of a, insight market announcement, and you can share it. So again, whether it's in an email, a text, or Facebook, or you can clip it to your clipboard and use it and integrate it any way you want. Again, our goal is to make you actually be smarter and look smarter than every loan officer that you compete with. So last piece on Rate Watch is just the leverage. You're using it to learn, you're using it to share, and you're using it for leverage. So the leverage piece is, if you're new to Mortgage Coach and you didn't know it, every time you send that alert to someone, or excuse me, that link, and someone opens it, you get an alert, and you can follow up. So Josh, what is it, do you pay attention to those edge alerts, and do you ever call your client on the heels of getting one of those alerts?
Yeah, in fact, I've told clients that I'm going to manage it like it's their own, like it was my own loan. And so when I see, one of those come over, I'll take a snippet of it, just a snapshot of basically what you're seeing right there. But let's say we had we're down 24 basis points, and I think we're going to have a reprice ahead. That's a great time to snip it and say, hey, down 24 bips, it'd be my recommendation to lock, and then shoot them a text. So again, if you've got somebody who's kind of comparing you with another lender, and you're able to kind of send them real-time information via text that shows them exactly what's going on with the bond market, and you've already had that initial explanation of kind of how mortgage-backed securities trade real quick and where the support and resistance is, it's just that extra piece that they're going, man, I'm not getting that from the other guy. It really feels like there's more expertise here.
Now, what about the actual, and again, this may be a feature of the app that you weren't even aware of, but you can actually, when someone looks at your edge report, you get an alert and you can call the borrower. Were you aware that you could do that in the app?
Absolutely. Yep.
And what do you, when you use that and you call the borrower, what does that conversation sound like?
So I don't use that much on my phone because I'm really in the office for most of my day, and when I'm out, I mean, I wait until I get back to do that. But more typically, as it's running in the background of my desktop, and you get the little thing that pops up from Rate Watch that says somebody viewed. It's a great opportunity to call. And if you're too busy, it's a great opportunity if you've got someone else who's a sales assistant to you to have them call. And that happens quite frequently where I'll just take a screenshot and I'll just shoot it over and say, hey, call and follow up. And they'll pick up the phone and call even if I'm in the middle of something. But you can have somebody reach out and just say, hey, we're just following up to see if you want to set your next appointment to talk to Josh. Oh, you're watching the total cost analysis. What questions can I answer? So that definitely can be utilized.
Beautiful. So again, speed to lead. Top loan officers use this all the time, whether it's on their mobile device or, as Josh said, you also get this alert on your desktop. So when you break it all down, these are transactional details. We want you to stop delivering fee worksheets and transactional details, start delivering a mortgage experience in a modern way for the borrower, for everybody that touches that borrower, the realtor, the financial planner, anybody and everybody that touches that transaction as advisor. We want to help you loop everybody in. And we want you to look smart and be smart around what's happening in the market. So when you break it all down, what we're trying to drive, and I'm going to give you guys some homework now, is going from price to advice. And part of that is a sales process. Show genuine curiosity. So at the point of sale, ask great questions, listen, emotionally connect, learn. But I would just make the point, if they're not getting something tangible from you, I'll follow up to that, you're not really delivering advice. If it's not visually excellent, if it's not shareable, if it's not personalized, if it's just information, you're not maximizing the opportunity. You're definitely not wow selling, which is what Mortgage Coach is all about. The last piece of the process, which I didn't spend a lot of time on this call around, I'd say it's a different call, but the best loan officers do all three of these things. They have curiosity, they deliver advice, and then they have leadership. I don't know if everybody caught it when Josh talked about when I'm taking someone through a sales process. And I don't know if everybody caught it, that even when he gets that alert, if he's too busy, he's delegating it to someone. All the best, they keep a sense of urgency in the deal. They are proactive. They are just totally committed to being unique in the way that they deliver value. And then, you hear it, if you didn't catch it when you heard Josh talk about how passionate he is about challenging people, he's not afraid of having constructive tension with a client. And so these are the things that really distinguish average loan officers from just great loan officers, is they're not, and by the way, they're not just doing, 2 out of 4 of these things. They're doing all 4 of these things. And by the way, they're not just doing this one day out of the week. It's like every client, every day, every hour, you're driving unique value, you're being proactive, you're driving urgency, and you're never afraid of having constructive tension. So you really deliver on this quote that I started the whole call around. You have to believe this, that the single biggest opportunity for you to be more successful than you are today, it's the quality of the insight you deliver as part of your sales experience. So Josh, before I make the assignment of homework, anything that you want to add to the rant I just went on around the Mortgage Coach sales process?
I think you nailed it. I have a few closing thoughts, but I'll save those. I think you did a great job overviewing those.
Okay, great. So folks, here's the homework assignment. Within the video of this, which I'm hoping if you're a manager on this call, you're going to make all your mortgage coaches listen to today's call. And within the description in the YouTube page, there will be a link to this homework assignment. So, first, it's what is your why? And I invite anybody and everybody to listen to this video, email me your mortgage coach why, and I will respond. I'm not going to promise, I'm going to give everybody a long coaching feedback, but I will respond and give some feedback. So email me your mortgage coach why to dave@mortgagecoach.com. I collect these things. I have hundreds of them. And I study the difference between loan officers that deliver mortgage coach to each and every borrower, what's their why sound like, and people that don't. So please send that to me. That's part of the homework assignment. And by the way, yes, it matters. Take the time to write it down. I would say write it once on a piece of paper, type it, send it to me or your accountability partner, and that is a huge step in creating the habit all on its own. Number 2, prioritize your most common mortgage options. So fill this piece of paper out from 1 to 6. And if there's something that's your number 1 or 2 that's not on this piece of paper, just write it in right next. Whatever's most common in your market, do this. By the way, so far the homework assignment is 5 to 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes of your time and you could have the seed to this habit. Then this is a little bigger ask. The next piece of this, it is 3 to 4 hours of time. Text me your day watch screen. So I really want you to take action, send a day watch screen. Whenever I'm trying to get someone to adopt Mortgage Coach, one of the easiest things you can do is install the app and send a report. Boom, done. Then email me or your accountability partner, your MCY. And now this is where it gets a little more time consuming. I've got some videos that I want you to watch, about 2 hours of watching videos, and about 1 to 2 hours of, creating 5 TCAs. I have found that if you can create 5 TCAs over the next week, and Josh, I don't know if you remember when you said, hey, Dave, I'm ready to create the habit. What was the deal I asked you to make with me before I was going to invest time in training you?
I think you asked me to commit to creating 10 TCAs. Is that the deal you're talking about?
I did. 5 is usually, but I knew it would take you more than 5. So I think I asked you.
Extra dense.
No, I just knew that you had really, because you were so successful and such a high performer, that it was, it needed to be a lot. And by the way, you almost gave up. I remember the first 3, you were like, dude, I'm not doing this. It's just going to take too long. I mean, you were ready to give up at 3, if I recall.
You were spot on. I think I was ready to go back to my sorry fee worksheets.
You were at 3. You were just like, sorry, Dave. I know Coach Bill Hart's been talking me into this. It looks good and it's great, but it's just not going to work. It's just too long. And I think it was about the 8th one where I started getting emails from you with feedback from realtors, and you're like, all right, man, I think you might have me here. Was it about 8?
Yeah, it was right about 8. Yeah, and it did take me a few more. I'm not really all that intelligent when it comes to technological stuff, and so it was just a little more painful for me. But once I got the rhythm and I got the positive feedback loop from my referral partners, I was done. That was it. Never doing another fee worksheet again.
Right on, man. So guys, you got to create those. And again, to go get your homework assignment, it's really super simple. Go to the Mortgage Coach page. Go to our support center. There's a couple different videos. That MC sales training will take you to the playlist that I just showed you. You could just click the play all button and watch, an hour and 40 minutes, or you can just do these one at a time. Some are only 2 minutes. Some are 6 minutes. I want everybody to make sure you're going to listen to that video. I did it with Bill Hart. It's only 14 minutes and 24 seconds. By the way, within that video, there is a link to the scripting document. But again, we're going to make this easy. I'm going to put all these links, the scripts, the checklist. They're going to be in the link to this. But now you have it. All of the scripts that we walk you through, the checklist, everything you need to go from price to advice is right here in Mortgage Coach. And then we're also going to talk about our Thursday call coming up here in a minute. So don't leave. We're probably going to go about 1 or 2 minutes over on today's call. Stay with us. And then there's that checklist. Put this in your work area. And for the next couple videos that you create a Mortgage Coach, go through this checklist. Make sure that you're doing it and make sure you're doing it right. So remember, we're dedicated to you becoming a Mortgage Coach, creating the habit. Every Tuesday, we're doing ideas. Call this a sales meeting. This Thursday, it's more practical. It's, usually we have about 100 people. Everybody's questions get answered. Don't miss that call. And every Friday, we have a beginner's call. So 9 a.m. beginner's call on Friday if you haven't created 20 TCAs. Make sure you download both apps, the core Mortgage Coach app and the Rate Watch app. And again, from a support standpoint, if you go to our website, you can either click on that little support icon on the left, put in your question, how to create an FHA analysis, or go to the full support center. I do recommend to everybody log in. If you actually log in, there's a window where you can. I use Facebook to log in personally, but now it's more personalized. You can make suggestions on features. You can keep updates on any questions that you have. So make sure you go through that. So Josh, as we wrap up today's call, what are some parting thoughts and words of wisdom that you'd like to share with everybody to help drive the Mortgage Coach habit of going from price to advice?
Yeah, I was just parking on the hurdle that I barely made it over the top of, I feel like. And we actually had a call one time where I'd been back and forth for about a month working on this, and I work on one, I wouldn't do so good, I'd get away from it, I'd have another coaching call, and I had a call with you one time as I was going through the airport, and I just said, I'm failing to see the value. I cannot figure out how the time invested has a greater payoff in value with Mortgage Coach, with Edge. And I appreciate that moment because you said, well, your inability to see the value just means you haven't done enough of these. You were really kind about it. But you were right. And somewhere around 10 TCAs for me was the magic number. You started to catch fire. And so, today I talk about Edge like I'm a paid advertiser, which I'm not. Every single one of my LOs, including myself, pay full price for Edge, which I'm still a little mad about, Dave, but I'm going to get over it. And so my parting thought would be if you haven't got to that 10, just push yourself to do it. Just take your purchase transactions and just don't do another purchase transaction until you really ace that. If you are doing it, figure out a few ways to make it go viral. Get it in your referral partner's hands. You can do all kinds of things that we've uncapped in this webinar that'll help you go viral and help you be known for rendering advice rather than rate. So that's my parting thoughts.
Beautiful. So only thing I would add to that, everybody, is that 10 can't be over the course of a month or 2 months. It's over the course of a week, no more than 2 weeks. Because you don't want, if you wait a month, you create 3, and then you start again a month later, you're just redoing that whole thing all over again. So it's really important that you dig in. I want you guys to, change your mortgage careers, close more business, and love this business more. So make today, you're on this call, there's hundreds of you on this call, take action today, man. Just follow the homework assignment. It's the same process I took Josh through, and he created this habit. And here's a guy that was closing more than 40 loans a month, and he figured out how to change his process and make a habit out of this. So let us know what you thought of today's call on a scale of good to great. Also, if you're new to Mortgage Coach and you just want to learn more, there's a little button, click I want a demo to learn more, let us know. And Josh, I really appreciate the time you took to prepare for today's call. Really appreciate the time you took to deliver value in today's call, man. I'm grateful for your endorsement of Mortgage Coach and for all the leadership. Also, one last thought. I really appreciate it whenever I send you an email asking you a question, getting your feedback. You always respond with something really quality that makes us a better company. So I'm especially grateful for that.
My pleasure, man.
All right, everybody. We went a few minutes over. Have a fantastic week. If you haven't created 20 reports, either come to the Monday course this week, the Friday at 9 or the Thursday at 9, and we'll help you get you over the hump and get everybody to 10 TCAs this week. Take care, everybody.